I don't know who needs to hear this, but starting a business is hard. I went from an unemployed, broke felon to owning a six-figure real estate business in less than a year. So what's your excuse? Stick around to the end if you want to see how I did it and find out how it's never too late to start a business, switch up what you're doing, and change the trajectory of your future. Let's rewind back to the inception of my business. Now you guys can judge me if you want, but because I'm not this person anymore, I don't mind talking about it. Now, right before I started my business, I was at the lowest of the low. During this time, I was out drinking, partying, living in bars, playing pool, surrounding myself with people I thought were friends but did not give a shit about me or where I was going with my life. So the inevitable happened. I was charged with a felony DUI, which was accompanied with a felony gun charge. I had to spend every penny of the money that I had on attorney fees to keep me out of jail. And that branded me the shiny new label of felon with no money, no license, no friends, and no idea what I was gonna do with my life. Just when I was starting to lose all hope, one of my last remaining friends, Matt, shout out to Matt, invited me out to play pool, take my mind off things, and kind of catch up and see how I've been doing after everything that went down. So there we are playing pool, and I'm kind of telling him I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and now while he wasn't in any legal trouble, he also didn't really know what he wanted to do with his life either, and he was always pitching me these crazy ideas for stuff. So there I am, lighting up a pool shot, and I hear him say, "Hey man, you ever heard of wholesaling?" And I didn't know what he meant. I thought maybe he meant buying stuff from Costco and then selling it online because I'd seen people do that, and he was all about making money from home type of stuff. But no, he said wholesaling real estate. So he goes on to explain how you can make money without ever owning a house, and you can just sell the contract, and you don't need any money, and it just sounded like a scam. I'm sure you guys can relate. When you first hear about wholesaling real estate, it does sound like a scam. It sounds a little too good to be true, and nobody really breaks it down in detail, so you don't really understand it. But then after him pitching that on 3 different occasions, I finally went home and looked it up on YouTube. Now, one of the first people that I saw when I typed in wholesaling real estate was Jerry Norton. Shout out to Jerry Norton, by the way. I learned most of what I know from him. Then it was like I had just taken the blue pill and plunged down the rabbit hole. I couldn't stop absorbing content. I spent hours and hours and hours watching his videos, learning everything that I could learn. I think I probably watched videos for 10 to 15 hours a day for like an entire month. It was at that point that I knew that it was legit, it was something that I could do, and it was something that I felt I would be good at based on the skills and experiences that I've had in my life. It was also something that seemed to be fairly low risk, didn't require a whole lot of money to start up, and it didn't matter if you were a felon, which in my case was paramount. So after all things considered, running the idea by my girlfriend, and really thinking about it, I called Matt up, told him I was on board for wholesaling, and we decided to go into business together. So he rushed over to my house, and the first thing we did, without knowing how our business was going to operate, what exactly our business was going to do, was we picked a name. Now, I advise you to be extremely careful and diligent when it comes to what name you pick for wholesaling real estate, and here's why. Now, I'm going to dump 98% of the blame on Matt on this one, but we tried to come up with a name, and he had pitched Legacy Legal Group. Now, he's like, legacy will make people think of family, and legal group will make people trust you. Now, his mind was in the right place, and he was definitely well-intentioned, and I didn't put up any arguments, which I probably should have, but I've since learned that that was a terrible idea for a name. After I've since built out a website, hired on some acquisition agents, closed on quite a few properties, my attorneys advised me that that was making other people's attorneys think we were a law group and made us seem a little bit shisty and a little bit harder to trust, which was the opposite effect that we thought it would have. When you're coming up with a company name for real estate, you really want it to accent, outline, and describe what you do. So since then, I've legally changed the name of my company to JT Homebuyers for Jamestown, you guessed it. And that just lets people know when they go to my website or I tell them who I represent, like, oh, this guy wants to buy our house, not help me file a restraining order. And it makes all the business transactions go a lot smoother. All right, so now that we had landed on a name, we still didn't have the complete direction or plan laid out for our business, but we wanted to file for our LLC and just get things moving. Now, filing for an LLC is different in every state, but you could hire an attorney to do it, you could hire an accountant to do it, you could go on LegalZoom, have them do it, or you could just file for it yourself on your state website. Now here in Illinois, it's about $120, $150, something like that. And it's a process that took probably 10 minutes. And then there's a few other things you might have to do, like file for good standing or get some sort of certificates. But all in all, in Illinois, it's less than $200. And if you are gonna wholesale real estate or really do anything in real estate, you definitely should get an LLC. Don't do it in your personal name. And just get an LLC right away because they're easy to get, fairly cheap, and you're gonna end up needing it. And it also has built-in credibility when people see it on a contract or you bring it up in conversation. So me and Matt worked together for quite a few months. We started out making the colossal mistake of driving for dollars. We spent plenty of time together in the car, driving around, looking at properties near my house, compiling lists of 15 to 20 properties, just to find out they were useless. Now, if you guys have seen other videos on my channel, I'll link it down below in the description of exactly why you should never drive for dollars when you're wholesaling real estate. So after doing that for a couple of days, we pretty soon realized that it was not a good strategy, and we started pulling leads off of Propstream, which is a real estate database where you can find off-market leads like pre-foreclosures and vacancies, things of that nature. So after a few months of texting all those leads and kind of figuring out scripts and talking to sellers on the phone, we had a few potential deals that looked like they may close, but Matt started drifting further and further away out of the business. Now that's because Matt has what I like to call shiny object syndrome. Now nothing against him, some people are just built that way, but he always wants to try something new or get into something or chase down every idea he has. Instead of being like me, I like to laser focus into what I'm doing. Now Matt started to get the itch for trucking. He decided to go get his CDL and become a trucker. Now I was all in support of that. I told him he still helped me build the business, so when we closed our first deal, he was still gonna get a piece of it because he did put in a lot of work. Ultimately, I decided to end up buying him out of the company because I was essentially running it myself at that point. So I just decided to make it official. Now the basic beginning baby steps of any business is just gonna be trial and error. Now I know you've heard people say it before, but analysis paralysis is a real thing. Like I said, I studied Jerry Norton's videos along with some others for a month before ever taking action, and that's fine, but you don't want to be sitting there month on month doing research and not taking any action. Like when I first started, I started chasing on-market properties represented by real estate agents, and I went out to properties, wasted a bunch of time, lost all my earnest money deposits, and ran out of money for my business. My girlfriend sat on the couch for weeks listening to me talk to agents on the phone, sounding like a freaking idiot because I didn't know what I was talking about. But all of that culminated together, and eventually I had the knowledge and experience from taking those risks, eating those failures. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you guys shouldn't constantly be learning, improving, and researching, but you need to make a separate time for learning and development and separate time for executing. That way you don't get stuck just learning and never taking action. Even now I'm in classes, part of a mentorship. I spend every evening reading up on different skills that I want to acquire and different ways to do business. So after plenty of trial and error, I kind of nailed down the way I wanted my business to function. I had a virtual assistant, I was contacting a bunch of leads, and I was getting a bunch of deals. I was super busy, probably working 16, 17, 18 hours a day at times, just absolutely crushing it. But when you're first starting out a business, that's what you gotta do. People say you gotta have, work-life balance. That doesn't exist when you first start out a business, and it's okay to admit that. And you're gonna have to put some things on the back burner, make some sacrifices, and do what you need to do to get the job done. So while I was learning this skill and developing this business, my girlfriend was not only helping me, she was also figuring out what she wanted to do, which was on the media production side of things. And this whole time she was kind of urging me to make a YouTube channel. Ever since I got my first deal, she was like, why don't you teach people how to do this so they don't make all the stupid mistakes you made when you first started? And that's how Jamestown was born. I really wanted a place where I could consolidate all the information I learned, spit it back out to you guys in a way that I at least hope is easily digestible and you can understand, and put together a community where I can help newcomers learn how to wholesale and take control of their life. For those of you that are new to the channel, if you like this video, smash that subscribe button, go check out my other videos, and let me know what you think. For those of you that are already members of Jamestown, first of all, I appreciate you, and I would love to hear from you how you like the channel. Things I could maybe do better, things you want to see from me. Any comments, feedback, I'll take all of it. So just let me know down in the comments. I'm here to help you guys and kill this shit together. So social media was also a perfect opportunity for me to rebrand the business. So I've got a logo made that you guys see here. Like I said, I changed the name, and we really started networking with people via Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to really take things to the next level and build a brand for ourselves. So that takes us to the now. It's been almost exactly 1 year since me and Matt filed for our LLC back in 2022. and it's only been 10 months since I actually picked up the phone and started getting to work. And currently we've wholesaled over 10 properties. We've got our first fix and flip under contract, set to close in about 2 weeks, and we've got offers in on 3 different properties that we're gonna keep as long-term rentals. Now we were able to build all of that in less than a year with no experience, no money, and no direction of what we really wanted to do. The best part of it all is I don't drink anymore, don't set foot in the bars, don't smoke cigarettes anymore, definitely don't have any guns. Plus, I'm no longer surrounded by people that don't care about me, my well-being, or my future. And now I'm instead surrounded by like-minded individuals that care about the same types of things I do, that are going to the same places I'm going, have the same values that I have, and it's honestly just a much more positive way to live life. Now, I made it this far in business, and I didn't even get lucky. Like, some people get lucky and it helps boost them along. I actually had a pretty unlucky journey and a lot of hiccups. So if you guys aren't starting with that much of a disadvantage and you just have an average go at things, but you put in as much work as I did, you can get further than I've gotten in these first 10 months. So I don't care if you're 32, 42, 102, don't let it discourage you from getting started. So that's a little bit of the background of how I was able to start my business, where I came from, where I am now. And it's not everything that happened in my past, but it's a lot. I'm not ready to diverge all the dirty details to you guys just yet, because legally you can't do it. But hopefully you guys see that no matter how bad of a starting spot you're in, you can always turn everything around in less than a year. 12 months from now, you're gonna be in the same spot you're gonna be 12 months from now. So you can either decide to work hard, have a business, and accomplish what you want to accomplish, or be sitting in the same spot doing the same thing that you're doing right now. So you're in Jamestown now. Relax, take some notes, and let's make some fucking money.